Good afternoon, everyone. This is Leah Smalley. I am the Assistant Director of Financial Aid Services at the Coordinating Board. And today I'm excited to have a guest with me. I have Tanya Trevino. We will be talking about some financial aid database material later, so just wanted to join her today. And today I'm going to be talking about a variety of things. Navigate over to my presentation. So a lot of things are going on at the coordinating board, and we are looking at how to improve the customer experience. We have a lot of new folks who have come on board, things shifting around. So I thought it would be a good idea today to show you what's on the horizon, things that our area is working on to improve the customer experience. We often get feedback when we go out into the field and things that people wish they had or they want to see or things that they identify. And so we've taken those things and we really are trying to work with the schools to see how can we make things better. So today I'm just going to go through a few of these, but they really are things that are upcoming so that you're aware and that you can anticipate those. So let's get started. First and foremost is we have an expansion of our staff in financial aid services, and I'm very excited about this expansion because if you know the team that has been here, we are small but mighty. We had about 8 people up until recently, and you'll notice on the screen that the blue boxes are the new positions that have come under our area. Luckily, the 3 that are showing there are internal folks that have worked for the coordinating board for many, many years. So this is a huge benefit to our area because these 3 individuals have extensive loan and TASP knowledge. And so the first one is Michelle Fairbanks. She's a program specialist 3, which means that she'll be working on training and communication materials and website updates. So she came from our borrower services area and worked with the call center and students and working on the materials over there. And she has just such a broad skill set, so we were thrilled to find out that she was going to be joining our team. In addition to Michelle, we're also hiring a new program specialist 3. The job was just posted, so anyone who's interested out there, either you know someone or maybe you feel like you want to work for the coordinating board, I just posted the position, so it is on our website and then just on the general internet if you look it up. But it is an exciting position, so please take a look or let someone you know be aware of it so that we can get a good applicant pool. The other change is that we added Davin Burt and Karen McLaughlin. They're from the loan originations team, and they'll be joining the operations side of the house in financial aid services. And that area primarily deals with the payments of all the funding for state programs and reconciliation of information. They do a whole variety of things. So again, having those 2 on our team is going to be such a benefit because you know, the loan programs are so extensive. There's lots of rules involved, lots of moving parts. And so, you know, it's difficult to always keep up with those things. And these 2 have such extensive history with these programs that we're just really fortunate to have them join. So moving on. One of the other things that's coming down the pipeline are program guidelines. If you've worked with state programs before, you know that each year we release program guidelines. Well, in the past, we've gotten feedback, you know, hey, it sure would be nice if we could get those a little bit earlier, because what often happens is that we release the program guidelines in the summer, and a lot of schools have already awarded their students, and then when they see the changes that have come out, it causes a lot of stress to either go back and re-award students or trying to figure out how those changes affected your students. So this year, we are currently working on those guidelines. The ones in the red box will be coming soon, and we anticipate having those out in April this year. So that includes all the grant programs, educational aid, work study, the mentorship program, college access loan, and then Texas Armed Services Scholarship Program. And I also wanted to make people aware, if you didn't join last month's webcast, that there are now available 6 exemption guidelines. Those are posted on our website. So those were already published in December. And the reason I wanted to stress this is because exemptions aren't typically housed in financial aid. They're at the registrar, business office, international office, a lot of different areas at the institutions do the exemption and waivers, but financial aid at the coordinating board is the one that's developing these resources. So we are asking for your help to make sure that these get disseminated to the right folks at each of the schools. So those 6 programs are out on our website, so please go print a copy, forward them on, and then of course the programs that I just discussed above, those are going to be released in April. So the biggest thing on the guidelines that we're looking at is, updating them to align with our general provisions. If you've been following the changes over the past year or so, there has been an initiative to align the programs not only to each other, but to the federal programs. So over the course of the last few years, in the general provisions, there are overarching rules that have been created that affect all of the programs in Chapter 22. So these are all the grant programs, loan programs, and some of the other ones as well. So I thought I'd bring this to everyone's attention because most recently in December, some rules were passed in 22.11, and those are specific to Texas Grant, TEOG, TEG, and Texas Work Study. I'm not going to go into the rules today. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because what you'll notice in the program guidelines is that for many of the sections in there, they're going to be overarching rules. And the great part about that is if you have 2 programs, for example, you do Texas Grant and Texas Work Study, those sections will be the same because they exist in the general provisions. So for example, there is now an overarching rule for late disbursements. There's an overarching rule for reawarding funding. So when you go in there, all of the sections are going to align now. And so we thought that was a huge improvement to the rules because it's very frustrating to be in one program and it's listed one way, and then you go to a different one and it's kind of the same, but then you're wondering, is this really the same? So just having that alignment is helpful because you know from program to program that the meaning and the intent is going to be the same. So again, we will be addressing changes on an upcoming webcast. I'm going to do a comparison, like here's what it was last year versus here are the changes that we made. You'll also notice we're going to add the alert boxes, and any big changes into the guidelines will make you aware of those with different stop boxes and things as we've done in the past. So those are coming. I'm excited that we're going to have that resource out sooner. And again, please continue to send your feedback because that helps us gauge how to make these resource documents and materials more user-friendly. So let's move on to HelmNet updates. HelmNet, if you are not familiar with it, is our online certification portal, and that's for College Access Loan, the Texas Beyond Time program, and the Texas Armed Services Scholarship program. So institutions are issued an account where they can go online and certify these applications. So I wanted to let you know that coming down the pipeline are the loan reports. So if you had any experience with these in the past few years, there used to be an option to run some loan reports to track the progress of the statuses, figure out who needed to be certified. There was a variety of different reports. And it was located, this is what the screen looks like currently, but you'll notice that there's a little message there that says they are down, and they have been down for I think almost 2 years now. So we often get questions, when are those going to be available? When are they coming back? And the answer is soon. I hate to give an exact time because I just don't know, but we are being told it's sometime this summer. So it's in the testing phases, and once it's out officially, I'm going to be doing it on a webcast as far as a training. So stay tuned for that. But as a sneak peek, I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a glimpse onto what it will look like. So you'll notice it does say draft because these are drafts. They will or could change. But this is the screen that you will have access to now. Your institution name will be populated depending on your login, but then all the other pieces, you'll determine what those will be. So you can pull loans for prior years, current year. You can pull different loan types if you have different programs. And then one of the best parts is we have incorporated in all the prior loans that were available, and we even added in some new loans, new reports that are available. So in this screen, you can see that we have a summary, there's dispersed, and then all the ones below that. So you can decide which one is the most suitable for what you're trying to pull down. And I'm going to show you on this screen. There is now going to be a summary, similar to how it was before, but to me this one is a little bit more clear cut. It has a breakdown of all the different statuses and how much money is associated with those statuses. You'll notice that it has little blue question mark help bubbles. Each one of those, when you hover over it, will have an explanation as to what the report will pull, and then you'll be able to run each one of those as an individual report. And most notably, at the top, you can now export to a CSV file, PDF, or you can print it. So I'm really, really excited about this initiative. Again, they're working very hard to get this wrapped up so that we can get it back out to the institutions. So we will provide training and more updates as I find out about it. A quick update on HelmNet. Some of you that use it may have encountered this already, but there is a new 90-day password reset, and that is to ensure security. We tightened that up to make sure that people who are not using their accounts, we're going to be looking at the entire process, but all accounts at this point have a 90-day reset. So when you log in after 90 days, you will get the change password prompt. So you'll need to do that. And if you get locked out or you have any issues with your login, you'll continue to contact the coordinating board with those issues. But one of the big things about security is, as you know, there's lots of things going on right now with security and systems and information. So a big project that we're working on and that we've been asked by institutions is, how do we know how to update our people? How do we know who has access at the coordinating board? And so we get that feedback, and we're looking at ways to develop a system so you can look at your users. Another thing that we get often is some feedback on this system authorization form, especially from new people. They say, you know, this is not logical at all. It's not helpful. We have issues with the submit button. We don't know what we're doing. So we have been looking at this form and trying to determine how to improve it. So do expect to see some changes in the next, say, 4 to 6 months on this form. I don't think it'll be a complete remake, because what we try not to do is completely reinvent the wheel, because then honestly it causes even more confusion, because you take something that you're familiar with and then it's totally new. So again, we got feedback from one of our committees that includes institutions, and so we're going to try and incorporate those things into this form to make minimal changes that we think will improve the customer experience for y'all, make it easier. So again, thank you for that feedback, and I'll keep you posted once it's up and running. So let's talk about our website. This is another area that we get feedback on, and we're looking to improve to make your lives easier, because as you know, websites are somewhat dying, but for an agency and for institutions, websites are kind of critical, because they're the ones that house all the information that you need to administer your job, process funds, and kind of just be able to do what you need to do on a daily basis. So we are looking right now at how to improve Student Financial Aid Program's webpage. We have other website initiatives coming up this year, but for the short term, we are trying to come up with ideas on how to improve this website. So one of the things that we are looking at is the right-hand banner, that red spot that was added recently, and we're going to try and declutter some of these pages by maximizing that right-hand banner. So you will start to see more and more information, more strategic strategically placed in these banners because right now they're underutilized. And as you can see on the screen right now, I mean, that's a lot of stuff when it's hard to even know where to go to get information when you're just kind of bombarded with sentence after sentence. So again, keep an eye on that. We'll start reorganizing these pages to make them a little bit more easy to navigate. Something that rolled out today I'm super excited about is my Webcast page. I had somebody on my team work on this page and she did a beautiful job. Sophia Rodriguez came up with this concept so that schools can find the Webcast more easily. Now when you pull up the Webcast archives page, you can expand each one to see what it was related to. So you're not wondering, well, what was in March? And I know she talked about it a couple months ago, but you don't really know which one it was. Now each one will have the topics of discussion. It'll have the individual YouTube link for the video, and then it'll have a PDF copy if you don't want to watch the video, you just want the content. So each of the webcasts are listed now, including last month, so you can go out there and do that and find it more easily. The last thing that I wanted to talk about as far as our web pages, my team is working on creating online training modules. So each of them has been tasked to create some type of module that would benefit the institutions, either related to eligibility or to processing. So if we have a form that is confusing, they're going to create a mini video that will be placed on either this page or multiple pages so that if you need assistance on doing something, you've got a quick demo to show you how to do it. If you're anything like me, I am uber visual. I do not do well with written instructions. I have to read it over and over and over again. Many people use videos at this point to accomplish things, even if it's at home and putting together a bookshelf. Like, it's easier to watch somebody do it than to read the instructions. So this is an opportunity for us to kind of allow us to do resource documents, but we also have a video to go along with it. So I wanted to let you know those are coming soon, and as we produce those, sounds so official, like we produce those, we'll post them on this page. We'll announce it on the webcast. They'll be incorporated into the guidelines if they apply, and we are hoping to have a minimum of 6 of those, if not 8 of those, by the end of this year. So stay tuned on that. The next thing is the 2021-22 TASFA feedback. The Financial Aid Advisory Committee has a standing subcommittee, and each year they're tasked to look at the TASFA application to determine if there are changes that need to be made either because of the federal application or just because of processing wise. Does something make sense to add or remove? So last year there was some changes to the form that we got really good feedback on. So this year we're inquiring to find out, are there more changes that are needed to the paper application? So we sent out a inquiry out on the listserv that's asking for feedback. The 2 things that the committee has identified as possible changes for 2021 so far would be to add adjusted gross income to the form and taxes paid. While most of the schools that we've talked to already get the tax returns and they collect it on those documents, we felt like that might be a good change because you can provide an estimate to a student sooner without having to collect those tax documents. It also allows the school to determine what kind of verification process they want to do, because at this point, since you don't have that data, if they filed taxes, you have to collect them to even calculate their EFC. So we couldn't think of a disadvantage of adding those 2 things, but those are 2 of the considerations for this year. But we're already starting to get feedback on other recommendations too. So I wanted to bring it up on here to make sure that people know that your feedback is valuable. You have the ability to send that to us so that the committee can review it. And the committee is made up of a variety of institutions. We have universities, community colleges, technical colleges, coordinating board, we're all involved. So we would love to get your feedback, and the way that you submit that is going to be through the Contact Us link on our website. So you go to any of the coordinating board websites and click the Contact Us button. It's also included on every memo we send out, including there's a picture of it on our website. When you submit that, make sure to include your institution, the institution name, and then select financial aid questions so that it gets routed to me. I'm collecting all the responses, and then I'll meet with the committee next month to review that feedback. So let's talk about financial aid database. I told you Tanya Trevino is here. I'm very excited that she's here because she is by far the expert on FADs. But I wanted to talk to y'all today about collecting data and why data matters. So financial aid database is a tool that is used by the coordinating board to collect important financial aid and demographic information from students. So once the data is collected here, it's used in a variety of different ways, not only for the coordinating board, but external stakeholders like legislators, other state agencies ask for our data, external organizations. All these places do analysis of this data. And so I'm going to bring up an example. This example is from the Student Financial Aid Report. And it's from FY18, which is the 17-18 academic year. And this is an excerpt from that report that is sent to the Legislative Budget Board. And it basically identifies that these are the average annual amounts needed per student to cover the gap between undergraduate education costs and student resources. So you can see right here the differences between the 2 years, public universities and privates, and the amounts. And so these amounts were extracted from the data that was sent in from institutions through financial aid database. So why in the world does this matter? Why do you care about data? And the answer is data is critical for us to produce reports, statistics, and other information that's necessary for people to make decisions. It's also used for allocation calculations. It's used, like I said, by external parties to develop training. It's a variety of different reasons. So what is sent to the coordinating board, not only for financial aid database, but any report that you do, is really critical because of how it impacts different areas and the decisions that are made based on that data. So at the end of cycle 3 for 18-19, once all of that information was received, a review of that data was completed. And what we found when we did this data review was that there was some areas of opportunity, not only from the coordinating board side, but from the institution side. So I thought I'd bring those up to make sure that people are aware of these issues and so that they can work with their vendor or just to be more mindful of the data that you're submitting. After we completed the data review, we didn't have a lot of time to do that because, again, data is used for allocation purposes. So at the end of this data review, we had to decertify over 30 institutions based on the issues that we found. So we're actually still waiting on some of the institutions to be able to submit that corrected data or to make refunds to the state so that we can move those allocations along. So this will be a good exercise to go through these because now we've entered reporting cycle 1 for 1920. And so we want to make sure that you're aware of some of these things that have either been updated or that were done incorrectly so that you can avoid those mistakes going forward. So the first one is inflated cost of attendance. When we reviewed the data, we were finding that some of the institutions were reporting cost of attendance up to $900,000. And the reason is because it allows 6 spaces to report that information, and there's no edit to avoid that. There are some schools that go beyond $100,000, but because we don't have an edit for that, those were able to go through. So they were just, again, an error that should be caught on the institution side to ensure that those figures are correct. The second one was enrollment hours. You're supposed to report the highest enrollment status for the academic year. So what's happening is, for example, in the fall, a student will be taking 12 credits. This is for an undergraduate example. In the spring, they're taking 9 credits. And in the summer, they decide to take summer, and there are 6 credits. The report that's coming through is having a half-time status, which is not the highest enrollment status for the academic year. It should be reported as full-time because the 12 credits in the fall. So that's one of the very, very common things that's coming through on the data, and it's throwing things off on how we collect that information. The next one is going to be ministry-related degrees, which is for private institutions that pay out the tuition equalization grant. So some of these are that students are receiving TEG and getting they are enrolled in a ministry-related degree. The reason that these were going through is we identified for several areas that there are edits that are written into our manual that had not been programmed at the coordinating board. So even though this is a basic eligibility criteria, it was something that was not programmed on our end that has been done for this upcoming year. So if you're starting to process your FADS file and you're receiving more errors than usual, it's because these issues have been identified and corrected. The last one on there is hardship justification. So there are a lot of different eligibility requirements for the grant programs and even the college access loan. And what we're finding is that there are certain funds being reported at credit loads that don't align with eligibility. For example, we will have a student who's received Texas grant and they're reported as half-time. So while that is possible with a hardship, it is not possible under the regular eligibility of 3/4 time. So that is going to get kicked back as an error unless the institution enters a hardship or a justification for that. So again, these are all things that they have been in the manual, but because of programming issues or because of the data that was coming through, they weren't caught until now. So we're going to continue to review data as we move forward this year, and so don't be surprised if we set up training or if you need assistance. We'll be available to support y'all. We're also looking at different ongoing training for FADS specifically. We've had different institutions reach out to find out if they could get training, so now we're looking at developing a comprehensive FADS training. So again, on the horizon, it's coming. So stay tuned for that. A couple quick FADS reminders. The reporting cycle 1 deadline is coming up on April 17th of this year. We still have a lot of schools that have yet to submit a file, so if you are having issues or you need questions, maybe you're new to financial aid for state programs, please reach out so we can assist you and figure out how to move you through the process. A clarification. For reporting cycle 1, all students within the file have to be reported for SAP. This is also a common issue, and you will start seeing the errors kicked back for this. So for any student in the file, you have to report option 3. There is not another option for anything else during this cycle. Once we move to the reporting cycle 2 and 3, you'll start reporting the SAP for those students depending on the programs that they're receiving funds for. So for example, if you have a Texas grant student, they received money, you will still report option 3. Starting next term, you'll need to report the SAP for that student. This one can be tricky, again, because things change from cycle to cycle, but if you have questions, reach out and we can walk you through it. The manual will be updated. We have some wording changes and some additional notes we're hoping to add to the manual to make it easier to navigate through the descriptions and so that you can report the data accurately. And then lastly, this is a goal, I will call it. We are trying to make the reconciliation process for cycle 2 simply a warning, meaning you will have numbers to compare, but you will not have to reconcile in order to validate. So we are trying to get that done before cycle 2. If we don't this year, it will go into effect next year, but we are trying to get our programmers to get that fixed so that by cycle 2 you won't have to reconcile. You'll simply reconcile after cycle 2 going into cycle 3 before you certify. So that is FADS. Since I have Tanya here, I'm going to circle back to see if there's any questions on FADS. So if you have questions related to what I'm talking about, the data review, any of the edits, anything like that, if you'd like to go ahead and type those in, I'm going to move forward on the last few slides and then we'll circle back. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is for customer experience is, getting a hold of us. We have a dedicated institutional line. I bring it up every month on the webcast. We are here to support institutions. We get a lot of, I called in, but I didn't get the answer I needed. Or I sent a craft in or an inquiry through your contact us system, and the response I got didn't really answer my question. So we are looking at ways to not only improve the customer experience on the phone lines, we're going to be doing customer service training with our staff, seeing how we can make sure that there's always adequate coverage, because we do have that available Monday through Friday, but because our team is very small, it's always a moving target on making sure we have enough coverage. But now that our team has grown, that should be an improvement going forward. We're looking at business writing classes to make sure that our folks have the training that they need to respond to people more clearly, providing information through the contact us system so that you have that. So we're doing a whole bunch of things communication-wise so that institutions receive the responses they need timely and accurately. So as you have feedback, I really encourage you, please go online. You can go through my survey for this webcast. We have a customer satisfaction survey on our website. You can send a contact us with feedback. You can email me directly with feedback. We really are looking to improve in any way we can. So I appreciate y'all taking the time with me. I'm going to circle back really quickly, like I said, to the Skype to see. The only question I see right now is from N Cargo. It says, will password change reminders be sent before expiration? No, my understanding is it will simply be when you log in. So as long as you know your password, it'll simply prompt you to change it. So this was something that I was just made aware of recently. It hasn't expired on me yet. So I will, if I get additional information, I can introduce that on a future webcast. But it'll just be like anything. When you log in, if the 90 days has passed, it'll just say, hey, you need to change it. Go ahead and update that now. Alexandria Ramos just asked, if we have locked ourselves out, do you have to submit a contact us to have our account unlocked? So you can call us, and what we can do is we can provide a temporary password and email it to the account we have on file. We do not release passwords over the phone. That's a security measure, but unfortunately there's no way to reset your password on your own. That's not a capability of the HelmNet system. Coordinating Board Pass, so CB Pass, you can reset your password on your own. And then Move It allows the institution to change their password at any point, or the coordinating board can change it. I hope that answered your question, Alexandria. Carolyn, if someone has requested access, how long does it usually take to get access for CB Pass? Currently, the way CB Pass is structured is that once we get a request, we reach out to that individual to find out what institution they work for, their role, and we maintain a database here so that we know the different people who have access. This is one of the many portals that we're looking at this year that I mentioned earlier that we're going to be trying to find better ways, because CB Pass is one of those portals that's, I'll say, clunky. it has a lot of hoops to go through just to get approval. So we're looking at ways to improve that for sure. That's one of the ones on the list. All right, John Rodriguez. Any talks happening to align Texas grant drug felony question to align with FAFSA? Yes, I have heard that before. I don't know where that's at. I do know that there are various rule changes going on, but I believe that one is a statutory one. So as you know, changing a law is like moving a mountain. So I know that it has to be a pretty big issue for things to change, but I have heard it repeatedly that there's a lot of program alignments that need to happen, and that's one of them. So I think that that's going to be something that will come up in the next session that they'll address. So good question. Any other questions? It says, I have a new computer. This is Emily. I have a new computer and I'm not able to log in to move it. Do I need to register a new computer? Who can help me? Emily, I can help you. I will call you. I have your number. So I will give you a call and walk you through the move it process. Move it as if you're familiar with all these portals, you know they're all very unique. The wish is that they're all one login, which I think we all wish that. So someday, you never know, we may move to a new platform where everything's under one login. That would be wonderful. It says, can you show the slide with the results of the FAD data review again? Let's see. And that is just the issues review, the issues revealed slide, UTD. Perfect. Okay. All right. I see somebody typing. Any questions? We still have time. This is one of the shorter webcasts I've had. So Kathleen asked, will you all consider creating a different FAD-B format for private schools that only requires us to complete the fields that apply to us rather than having to pad for the many public-only fields? I might hand that one over to Tanya, but I'll attempt to answer it first. She can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But financial aid database has been around a very long time. It requires an incredible amount of programming to break apart the reporting different institution types. So I know it's been brought up before. We've got lots of requests for types, ways to do the file, and can there be less data elements? Can you report on this? So definitely we value that feedback, and of course Tanya's right here. She can take it back to her area to discuss that, but I know that it's more of the complexity of the project, and we're looking at any ways to improve in the future. So as we get more options, I'll keep y'all posted, because I think that, as programming continues to move forward, there's always a chance that we can do certain things. Let's see, Giselle, why was a student's GPA removed from CB Pass? You may have to, Giselle, are you referencing the award history process? This used to help determine if the student could regain their Texas eligibility. Yes. So award history used to be pulled from the end of year report process, and now it's moved to kind of a combination. So we extract that data from two different databases depending on the student. So if they have been out of school for a while, we may have to pull it from one system. If they're new, we pull it out of the FAD system. So yes, I agree. I don't think GPA is even captured on FADs at this point, so that's why that field had to be removed. Otherwise, it would be blank for a lot of students. So we're looking at award history in general right now. The problem with award history is because we certify data for the prior year a year later, it's hard to determine eligibility using that at this point anyway. So I would keep that in mind when you're using it. It's a great tool, but it's always going to be lagged. So GPA that used to be reported is not really a possibility at this point. I hope that answered your question. So I got a question. I logged on late. Is it possible to quickly review items before the FAD section? So I recorded this presentation. It'll be ready by next week, and it'll be located on our website page on SFAP webpage. If you're not familiar with that website or you're not sure where to find that, just shoot me an email, or you can send a contact us through, and I can help navigate you to that location. But yes, all of these webcasts are recorded, so you can reference them and listen over and over and provide the feedback. I'll have the survey is available on the webcast page as well. Please use that to send ideas if you want training or you have a specific thing you want to address. I can do that. Anyone else? I think this is the most questions I've ever received. This is wonderful. Anyone else? You've got me now. Feel free to ask. Hopefully related to the webcast. Okay. UTD. Thank you for the loan reports. Is that you, AJ? I'm just guessing. Okay. Well, I am going to end the webcast. I'll end the recording. Like I mentioned, I will post it online in the next 4 to 5 days. If you have any input, please send it in. Otherwise, I will be in touch. I will have the next webcast will be the 2nd April, Tuesday at 2. I don't remember the exact date, but we will send out information once it's available on the topics. So I hope y'all have a fantastic week and a month. Good month. Stay healthy out there. Stay safe and have a great day. Thank you.